if you considered whether this was made of metal or iron, would you then understand what the collar and cuffs actually meant? And what we have is a graded collar system: blue collar, white collar, dog collar. All the police here are known by their collar number, but they're all uncuffed. And there's a reason for that, because they're authorised to use force and you're not. But the point is that we live in a situation where, without even being aware of it, our masculine energy has been subjugated to maintain state. And this is where, if you're doing anything that is to perpetuate state, then you're supported, you're encouraged, and you're facilitated even. If you're trying to do anything which is about change, which is the opposite of state, so we have change and we have state. If you're trying to do things which are about change, then that's not really approved of. And that's why I'm happy to see so many uncollared men around here. But the crux of it really is, for me, the collaring of the men. This is massively significant. And it's to do with authority. So what is authority? So some people would say that these people in here are authority. Now, authority is all about the author, and that is the storyteller. So at home you would have had the authority, which was the mum or dad, who said, well, this is what you do in this house, and if you don't, you can bugger off. So that's one level of authority. But the type of authority we're talking about here is much bigger than that. It's the story of humanity. It's the story of what a human being is, what a good human being is, what a good human being does, what it is to make you feel like your place and your position and what you do has worth and value and esteem and credibility. It's that story. And my concern about things which are protesting in their nature is that it actually describes somebody else's story. So my concern is how much time is spent by all of you and everybody else telling somebody else's story of the world, somebody else's story of humanity. And even though you're doing it in opposition, it's still entering into that dualistic paradigm that actually isn't actually going to work. Because you're giving value to that story by saying, well, hey, they're in there making all these policies about what humans do. Are they? It's only as long as you stand there talking about it that it does, rather than getting on with describing your own story. I want you all to just have a quick look around and see, does anybody here look anything like you?
I hope not.
Does anybody dress anything like you? No, okay. Well, the point being then is, you know, you've all chosen your clothes with effortless choice this morning. You're sitting here effortlessly and unashamed with your hairstyle, facial hair, clothes, all the rest of it. But what about the rest of the story of your uniqueness? The story of your unique voice, your unique interpretation, the things that your life experience has yielded, only you. Where is your courage, your tenacity, and your application of that? That's what I look to encourage, because that is the truth of your unique kind of divine manifest presence here. Every one of you is here by a divine mandate of birth. You were dreamt forth by the universe for a specific purpose that is yours and yours alone. As long as we're standing there giving credit to somebody else's rubbish story of humanity that doesn't lead anywhere, then your amazing co-creative powers of the now are being exploited to tell somebody else's story. Does everybody understand the concept, or have you come across the concept of there being only now? Yeah. Is everyone comfortable with that? Anyone struggle with it?
What about then? Isn't there then as well?
Sorry?
Isn't there then as well?
No.
No?
There's not. I don't think so. Well,
Okay.
if there is, what would that... Well, no, here's a question for you. Okay, so is the substance of me now made up of the bits that were there 5 minutes ago?
No.
So wait, what have I left behind? Have I? Where did I leave it? Where exactly? Because there's nowhere to leave it.
You're constantly
Okay, so if I'm evolving, then what it means is all the material of my now is made up of the material that was there 5 minutes ago, except it might have improved.
Oh, fair enough.
Okay? So the point being is that the way evolution works is that nothing is left behind. So if nothing is left behind, then it means that you are recreating the now every second. So that means it's your energy dragging this story of importance into the now every single time. And this is a really important thing to draw attention to, because it means that we're all dragging these stories of humanity into a new now every time. And we can let go of that anytime we see fit, as soon as we start to reclaim the power of our capacity to tell a story. Do you see what I mean there? Okay, so this is the big point about authority, because whose authority are you here by? You're here by your own authority. But then where do you go from here with that? So it's a bit difficult, really, because this is about understanding the level at which the collaring and the cuffing of the men goes to. It's not just about the collaring and the cuffing of the men, it's about the collaring of a masculine energy in us all, women included. And I'll show you the level that goes to. It goes to a number of different depths. Here's one example. So you have this concept of, basic geometry that you learn at school. Okay, I know that seems like a bit of a curveball, but I'll get to a point, honestly. So you have this concept of a basic geometry. Where you all taught that a square, a circle, and a triangle are basic shapes? I was. Do you know that they're not?
No.
Did you know that only one of them is? Okay, so let's go through this. So the square and the triangle are not basic shapes, they're secondary. The basic shapes are the line, the circle, and the spiral. And these are the ones that you find absolutely everywhere in nature. The line and the circle are the ancient symbols of the male and the female that exist everywhere in the universe, and the spiral is what happens when they work harmoniously together, which exists everywhere in the universe, from galaxies to water to cloud patterns to everywhere, except our species. But the whole point is, the reason you don't get taught about the line and the circle is because the line is the masculine energy. And if you can harness or conceal that, then what you are left with is the circle, which is a state. Okay? That's why you get taught about the circle only, because that feminine energy, without the application of the male energy to drive it into dynamic spiral, is a state. It doesn't go anywhere. It's the opposite of change. What you're all learning to do in your lives, in different ways, whether it be in ecology, activism, politics, whatever, it doesn't matter. What you're learning is how to draw a line again. Okay, you're learning how to draw a line. The visceral, raw, painful, vulnerable, fragile, angst-ridden act in whatever way or avenue that you do it in, of drawing a line as to what you will accept and what you won't accept. Because you've been taught and brought up in a culture that says everything is okay, when it is not. 50 Shades of Grey, anything goes. No, it does not. And you all know that. That's why you're here, otherwise you wouldn't be, would you? So that's just one example, though. I mean, that's basic geometry. The other level where things are manipulated are at the level of alphabets and characters and language, and that's why I'm drawing your attention just to a few words, just to highlight some stuff that shows that it doesn't matter how much Ike or Jones you watch. The game is being played at a much deeper level than that, much, much, much deeper. And if you are caught up in the dangers of alternative media, then what happens is your amazing awakening energy is being used to tell somebody else's story of humanity. That is authority subverting your co-creative capacity to mental drivel. So it's like even this event to some extent is giving value and importance to this Bilderberg meeting. I know I'm being somewhat hypocritical standing here and talking while I'm there, but hey, I thought I'd come and try and subvert it somehow. Well, we'll try.
Yeah, he's good, he's good.
So the point is, though, that the key point to all of it is that it is all staring us in the face. Really, really, really. You don't need to make stuff up. Another example. So,
is this why you're dressed as Jesus, basically? You're trying to get us...
Am I dressed as Jesus? Have you met him? Where do you want me to go with that? What do you want me to say?
Whatever you say.
I am, I don't know. So, another aspect of that is, does anybody here, thank you for that, though, off the back of that, I'm going to use some language that you might like.
Oh, great.
Okay, so you've all come across the concept of being yourself, haven't you? Just be yourself. Right, be yourself is one of the other misnomers of the gender crisis that we are in, which is what about this whole collaring of the male energy, because it means that your line drawing energy, your masculine energy, men and women, is being used to maintain state rather than to expand consciousness and civilization and all that sort of stuff. So the thing is, you're told to just be yourself. Well, you can sit playing an Xbox, watching whatever, all day for 20 years and claim you're just being yourself, and I would challenge, is that what the universe intended for you when it spent 4 billion years to dream you forth? I'm not convinced it is. And it's because being yourself is only half the story. You do not be yourself, you become yourself. It is a process. No, you are becoming yourself. Does anybody here feel like they have manifested the fullness of their power and capacity in this world as yet? Then do you realise that means you're not even here yet? It means you're still coming. And this is the point. It's about being and coming. And actually, the masculine energy that has been subverted is the energy of coming. And this is it. And this is what is happening now. Your line drawing is you learning how to arrive, how to actually manifest the power that you've started to feel within yourself and to seek healthy expression in the world. That's kind of the key point. And this is the kind of the juncture that we are at, is about moving from state into being comfortable with change. I would actually be willing to challenge that most of you in the last 2 years have probably had all your traditional ideas of security or things that you could rely on or people that you could rely on, all had the rugs pulled out from under your feet in one way or another. And it's part of the situation we're going through is to become comfortable with the reality of uncertainty and the reality of insecurity. Because actually the only reason state has arisen is a result of our insecurity, our discomfort with perpetual change. So our own emotional vulnerability and fragility has been exploited to make us seek that continuity of my McDonald's burger being the same every time, my Morrison's bag of coffee being the same every time. And this is actually, every time we go back and we buy into that continuity, we are feeding state, we are maintaining state. And here's an interesting thing, is that every time we're using energy to maintain state, it means that we're not bringing the change that we want to in the world. It's a really funny paradigm. And we have got to get comfortable with insecurity, and we've got to get comfortable with uncertainty to cultivate the true edge that our humanity actually has available to us, basically. A really interesting thing about bringing about change, though, is the role that money plays in that. So here's an interesting thing, because obviously money is a big issue. I hear a lot of people talking about money and the money system and all the rest of it. So there's another spell I just want to fix while I've got your attention. And the point being, people really misunderstand what money is all about, because it is also about security. And this is really funny. All the people in there, and probably most of you, treat money as a unit of security. So you feel insecure if you don't have it. You feel like you need to go and get it because there's a vulnerability there, and loads of people hoard on to it so they can feel secure. The funny thing is, there's a bit of a bait and switch happens every time you spend money. And that is that you go into a shop, you spend 20 quid, sorry, you hand over 20 quid for something that costs 15, and somebody gives you £5 back and says, here's your change. Okay, the £5 is not your change. That is more money back. The change is the thing you just bought for 15 quid. Okay? So if you go in and you buy a bag of shopping, the change isn't the £5 back, it's the 15 quid's worth of food you just didn't have in your world before. Money is a unit of change. Okay, it's a unit of change, not security. And that has got to... I'm concerned that most of you have a really wounded relationship with money. I know I do. And it's because of treating it as a unit of security when it's not. And again, if we're trying to bring about change in the world, we've got to get comfortable with understanding all of its units, all of the ways that it expresses itself. And there's no way that we can deal with people on an equal level who have got lots of it when we don't, because we feel insecure while they're secure. And it's all about what's going on in here. It's all about how you hobble yourself as you walk into every situation you go in. And it's all about the spells and the spelling and how you describe yourself to yourself, what you say to yourself, about your value, about your place, all this sort of stuff, and how you believe what the media has told you about, again, authority, the story of humanity, the colouring of the men. What is a good human being? What does a good human being do? What deeds should you feel worthy for having done? Because this is the big thing. A lot of you've done many worthy deeds, but do you feel the value for it within yourself? Do you feel, you know, in an onward sense, empowered and validated by it? I'm not convinced you all do, and I really would like to invite you into that sense of confidence with that in the same way you confidently chose your clothes and your hairstyle, because it is within your capacity, but it's about that line drawing, and it's that line drawing of your own identity.
It's indoctrination as well, that forms the barriers of your so-called identity, and then you have to break down.
Did everybody hear that? He's talking about indoctrination. What do you think I've been talking about right since the minute I started talking? This is the point. But it's about understanding the level that it takes place at. Most people think that by learning all these words of conspiracy that you're somehow informed. You're really not. You're still playing the same game. This is the thing. I mean, another example, another spell to play with is corporate establishments of desire and delight. All the shops that you go to promising you that you're going to be alluring, you're going to be attractive, you're going to be desirable, you're going to be satisfied, you're going to have a full belly. If you go and spend money on all these things, that's the change that's being offered for you to go in and hand over your power. But the sign over the door says one thing. What does it say? We think it means way in, but it doesn't. There's a word that we say in our language, we call it entrance, but that's not what it says. Read the sign properly. What does it say? It says entrance. It says entrance, and it has only ever said entrance. There is no such word as entrance. It is entrance. And that is what happens in every single establishment.